Today is August 7th. Welcome to Big Book Daily. My name is Rob. I am an alcoholic. It is a thrill, honor, and joy to be here with you today as we journey through the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous and the 12 Steps and 12 Traditions. Today out of the Big Book, we're going to continue our journey through Chapter 2, There's a Solution. We'll be reading part of page 28. And out of the 12 and 12, we're going to begin our next step. That's Step 5. We're going to be reading the first half of page 55 today. And we'll also be reading today's daily reflections in 24 hours a day. So with that, hope you all are doing well today, my friends. As I'm recording this, it is midday. I'm here in the garage. It's a little bit steamy here in this August afternoon. So I do have the fan in the background. If that sneaks into the audio, I do apologize. I'll try to edit it out as best I can. But anyways, with that aside, we've been given a brand new set of 24 hours. That's always a good thing. So let's go ahead and get to the good stuff. All right, my friends. So if you recall from yesterday's reading, we talked to another doctor here. This was, I believe, Dr. Jung, who says that, hey, in order for this sobriety thing to stick, there must be a vital spiritual experience. You know, and then we see a little bit later on page 27, they appear to be in the nature of huge emotional displacements and rearrangements. In other words, change. Ideas, emotions, attitudes, which were once guiding forces of lives of those men, are suddenly cast to one side. There's change again. Just a few sentences later, in fact, I'm trying to produce some emotional rearrangement within you. That's change. It takes a lot of change here. With many individuals, the method which I employed are successful, but I have never been successful with an alcoholic of your description. And then there was an asterisk for the bottom. For amplification, see Appendix 2. So tomorrow we will be reading that. So with that, we are continuing on page 28. We're going to be reading the first two paragraphs. We, in our turn, sought the same escape with all the desperation of drowning men. What seemed at first a flimsy reed has proved to be the loving and powerful hand of God. A new life has been given us, or, if you prefer, a design for living that really works. The distinguished American psychologist William James, in his book Varieties of Religious Experience, indicate a multitude of ways in which men have discovered God. We have no desire to convince anyone that there is only one way by which faith can be acquired. If what we have learned and felt and seen means anything at all, it means that all of us, whatever our race, creed, or color, are the children of a living Creator, with whom we may form a relationship upon simple and understandable terms as soon as we are willing and honest enough to try. Those having religious affiliations will find here nothing disturbing to their beliefs or ceremonies. There is no friction among us over such matters. I'm going to call an audible here. We'll go ahead and read the Appendix 2. That's at the back of the 4th edition of the Big Book. It talks about this whole spiritual experience. Appendix 2, Spiritual Experience. The terms spiritual experience and spiritual awakening are used many times in this book, which, upon careful reading, shows that the personality change sufficient to bring about recovery from alcoholism has manifested itself among us in many different forms. Yet it is true that our first printing gave many readers the impression that these personality changes or religious experiences must be in the nature of a sudden and spectacular upheaval. Happily for everyone, this conclusion is erroneous. In the first few chapters, a number of sudden revolutionary changes are described. Though it was not our intention to create such an impression, many alcoholics have nevertheless concluded that in order to recover, they must acquire an immediate and overwhelming God consciousness, followed at once by a vast change in feeling and outlook. Among our rapidly growing membership of thousands of alcoholics, such transformations, though frequent, are by no means the rule. Most of our experience are what the psychologist William James calls the educational variety, because they develop slowly over a period of time. Quite often, friends of newcomers are aware of the difference long before he is himself. he finally realizes that he has undergone a profound alteration in his reaction to life, that such a change could hardly have been brought about by himself alone. What often takes place in a few months could seldom have been accomplished by years of self-discipline. With few exceptions, our members find that they have tapped an unsuspected inner resource which they presently identify with their own conception of a power greater than themselves. Most of us think this awareness of a power greater than ourselves is the essence of spiritual experience. Our more religious members call it God consciousness. Most emphatically, we wish to say that any alcoholic capable of honestly facing his problems in the light of our experience can recover, provided that he does not close his mind to all spiritual concepts. He can only be defeated by an attitude of intolerance or belligerent denial. We find that no one need have difficulty with the spirituality of the program. Willingness, honesty, and open-mindedness are the essentials of recovery. But these are indispensable. Quote from Herbert Spencer: "There is a principle which is a bar against all information, which is proof against all arguments, and which cannot fail to keep a man in everlasting ignorance. That principle is contempt prior to investigation." Moving on over to the 12 and 12, we're on step 5. Admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. First 2 paragraphs of page 55. All of AA's 12 steps ask us to go contrary to our natural desires. They all deflate our egos. When it comes to ego deflation, few steps are harder to take than 5. But scarcely any step is more necessary to long-time sobriety and peace of mind than this one. AA experience has taught us that we cannot live alone with our pressing problems and the character defects which cause or aggravate them. If we have swept the searchlight of step 4 back and forth over our careers, it has revealed in stark relief those experiences we'd rather not remember. If we have come to know how wrong thinking and action have hurt us and others, then the need to quit living by ourselves with those tormenting ghosts of yesterday gets more urgent than ever. We have to talk to somebody about them. Daily Reflection, August 7th. A Design for Living. We in our turn sought the same escape with all the desperation of drowning men. What seemed at first a flimsy reed has proved to be the loving and powerful hand of God. A new life has been given us, or, if you prefer, a design for living that really works. Alcoholics Anonymous, page 28. I try each day to raise my heart and hands in thanks to God for showing me a design for living that really works through our beautiful fellowship. But what exactly is this design for living that really works? For me, it is the practice of the 12 steps to the best of my ability, the continued awareness of a God who loves me unconditionally, in the hope that, in each new day, there is a purpose for my being. I am truly blessed in the fellowship. "24 hours a day, August 7th. AA Thought for the Day. We in AA are offering an intangible thing, a psychological and spiritual program. It's a wonderful program. When we learn to turn to a higher power, with faith, that power can give us the strength that we need. We find peace of mind. When we re-educate our minds by learning to think differently, we find new interests that make life worthwhile. We who have achieved sobriety through faith in God and mental re-education are modern miracles. It is the function of our AA program to produce modern miracles. Do I consider the change in my life a modern miracle? Meditation for the day. You should never doubt that God's Spirit is always with you. wherever you are, to keep you on the right path. God's keeping power is never at fault, only your realization of it. You must try to believe in God's nearness, in the availability of His grace. It is not a question of whether God can provide a shelter from the storm, but of whether or not you seek the security of that shelter. Every fear, worry, or doubt is disloyalty to God. You must endeavor to trust God wholly. Practice saying, "All this is going to be well." Say it to yourself until you feel it deeply. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may feel deeply that all is well. I pray that nothing will be able to move me from that deep conviction. All right, my friends, so that concludes our reading today. Holy jeez, there was a lot of great reading in these books today. Real quick, talking about the appendices, the Appendix 2, I'm so thankful that is in the big book, because it explains some people have that sudden spiritual experience, and I've known people like that where they hit their bottom and they make a decision to pray, and God almost instantaneously removes their obsession to drink. I've known many people like that. So there are people like that. Bill W. was like that. For me, it was more of a long process of continually going back to the meetings and continually trying to, when I was tempted to drink, to reach out to some people and do what others told me to do. And over time, I realized, but it took a lot of time, that I no longer wanted to drink. Some would argue that is a spiritual awakening. That's kind of what I lean more towards. But thank God that the appendix explains the two. There's people on both sides of that have had that kind of recovery. But it doesn't matter how you got there. The bottom line is that it's working. Whether it's an experience or an awakening, it's a miracle. And that leads into the last reading. I love this line right here. We who have achieved sobriety through faith in God and mental re-education are modern miracles. And then in the meditation for the day, another powerful line. Every fear, worry, or doubt is disloyalty to God. Anytime I'm stressed out, I'm being fearful. And if I'm being fearful, I'm not trusting that my higher power is going to make everything okay. So here's a little practice for me. Practicing all is going to be well. Might not feel that way at times, but usually it works out that way. At least for me. I can't speak for anybody else, but yeah, just some beautiful reading today. And I hope you realize that if you are sober today, you are a modern miracle. You're a miracle. And if we go to bed tonight still sober, what a great day. As always, my friends, I don't speak on behalf of AA or NA or Al-Anon or any other sect. I'm just a friend in this lifeboat of recovery. And it's truly an honor to be here. If we're given another set of 24 hours, my friends, I sincerely look forward to seeing you right back here tomorrow.